I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Build an Iconic Life. I'm here with Paul Gowder, who has a company called, what is it, powwow.com?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, Paul, how is it that you became an entrepreneur? What are some of the immediate challenges that you faced? And what are some of the things that you did to start to overcome that, to build a successful business?
I kind of had an untraditional route to becoming an entrepreneur. Growing up, my dad, I saw him, he always hustled and had lots of things going on. He always worked side jobs. So I saw it as a kid, but I didn't set out to do that. I was in grad school. This is way back, 1996. And I just started playing around with the internet, building web pages. And so I built pages about things I knew. Big Star Wars fan, you probably see some of the stuff back behind me. And so I built a page, again, way back in 1996 on Star Wars toy collecting, all the toys I had as a kid, right? It was cool and I loved it. Nobody cared because it was before there were any more prequels or any more movies. Disney hadn't bought Star Wars, it was dead, right? So that page didn't go anywhere. It's still out there, actually, by the way. The other thing I did is at the time I was just learning about powwows. I had some friends that were taking me to powwows, teaching me how to make the regalia, learning the songs and the dances. And I was starting to travel around the Southeast and go to powwows. So I threw up some pages about that. Just, hey, I'm excited. This is really cool. This is what I'm learning, right? That one took off. From the beginning, people wanted to connect. People wanted that community and that togetherness, same kind of thing at a powwow where you're feeling part of something and, you're all together. So we built that. We formed or created a forum online and people were able to talk and interact. It really started out focused in the Southeast with mostly dancers and people that were in powwows, and it slowly grew over time. I didn't really think of it as a business for years. At first, when we first started monetizing, that wasn't even a term back then. Back then, it was just like I started, as the site got bigger and bigger, we had bills. I can remember the first conversation. We were dating at the time. Now my wife, Kelly, I was like, should I buy powwows.com, the domain name? It's $75. It's crazy. I don't have that kind of money. And she's like, you have to buy that. And that was like probably one of the first bills. And, then hosting got bigger and bigger. And so it was a slow kind of figuring out how to pay the bills, how to keep it growing, how to, keep serving the people that were on the site. And at some point, I was working a career all this time and, we were building a life together. And at some point it's like, oh, maybe this could be something, maybe we could put time and energy into it. Maybe we could make this thing a business. I always dreamed that one day I could go full time with it. But I was working for state government. Never really thought that would be possible. I did get to the point where I could retire with a pension. So that kind of helped ease that transition. So now I've been full time about 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So when the community was growing, so you buy powwow.com. I remember when hosting used to be quite a bit more.
Yeah.
And it was all based upon size. But did you start because you said the community was thriving. Did you start asking the community, like, what is it that you need instead of trying to guess?
When we had a forum, it was, yes. I mean, I remember back then I did surveys every year, and I would, print them out in these big books and go through it and figure out what people wanted. One of the first things that people told me they wanted was a calendar of powwows, right? People were trying to find powwows. And it wasn't necessarily that the users say, hey, you should make a calendar. It was more of people saying, hey, is there a powwow this weekend in Oklahoma? Or do you know of any powwows this weekend in California? And I still get those emails every single day. So that was one of the first resources we built, was an online calendar of Native American powwows that people could look at, search, whatever. But on the forums, people told me, but it was also, back then I just loved playing with the tech. So I would just build things, right? I built a photo gallery where people could upload photos because that was fun. We actually built a dating site because that was really cool. actually had our own social network for a little while. This was back before Facebook and everything else, right?
Yep.
Those are kind of things were just fun. And if I thought it would bring value to the community, we would do it and we would play with it. That was probably the first 10 years of the business doing stuff like that.
What is it that you started to do that really started to monetize that?
So there's two. I look at Powell's.com as like two halves of or I guess two timelines of the business. There was the forum world, and that's we did ads, and that was still probably our number one source of revenue was advertising. But then it was the forums were user generated content. The calendar was all things that people submitted. The photo gallery, everything we did was user submitted content. Then the second half of Powell's.com is after social media, and people didn't come to us necessarily for that social interaction. We had to shift, and we became more of we're generating the content for you. So that's when we got writers and started doing articles and publishing more of those kind of things. We started doing live streaming in 2004, and that's still a big part of what we do. And so that's kind of shifted, and we're still doing advertising. We also all have services where we go to powwows and do their streaming for them. But yeah, it was kind of two halves. There was that forum style of business, and then now switching over to a more traditional blogging article based business.
What do you see, or what are the things that you've had to learn? Gosh, you've been doing it since before Facebook. Like, so I was a CS major, right? And they were just getting into virtual reality,
right?
Right around 95. And I've seen this advent of going from downloading a syllabus at your apartment at 9600 baud, coming back and the one page is still not, it's still not downloaded. I've seen it go from that to live streaming, right? Like literally instantaneous communication. What are the things that you've had to learn? Because as I started to learn to build a digital business, it was overwhelming the amount of tech that you had to understand.
Oh yeah. In college, I studied political science, and I got my master's in public administration. So I was my 25 plus years in government. I was a bureaucrat. I worked in IT, but that's not what my background as far as education was. So I mean, I've learned everything. I taught myself PHP to build a calendar of the powwow calendar. Taught myself how to edit video and write HTML. All the different technologies that came around. Live streaming. I mean, when I first started live streaming, it was, we had to build Windows servers and use Windows Media Encoder. That was crazy, trying to figure out the technology of having faults or failovers between two servers because they couldn't handle much load. Now all that's easy. You just point it to YouTube or Facebook and it's just done for you, now it's more of, teaching myself the business side, how to better manage people, how to better communicate, email marketing, those kind of things. I try to keep myself out of the technical now, hire VAs or contractors to do all that kind of stuff now. So now it's figuring out that the other business sides of things. Where can we, how do we grow? How do we keep going? Those kinds of things.
And what do you see coming on the frontier for growth that you think is ubiquitous, like all of us need to be focusing on it?
I still say, and I've got clients I'm helping with this, and if you see me speak at a conference, I drive this home, and I think email marketing is something, it's been around forever, and I think it's gone through phases where people said email is dead or whatever. I still think it is so crucial to business. For me, it's the one thing that is constant. Like I said, we were a forum, a user generated thing. Then social media came and that changed the whole world. And now there's so many entrepreneurs out there that are hit by Google updates and helpful content and core, all these kind of things. The organic reach on Facebook continues to change. Who knows what AI is going to do to our content? You just don't know these things. But email, once you have an email subscriber, you can communicate directly with them. So I still say that it's the core of my community now. Even though we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group, I still find that I can communicate better and more effectively in email, and that I keep driving that home to people.
And I think the reason that it doesn't work for so many people and that it works well for you is because of one word that you used that really made my ears prick up. It's called bringing value.
Yes.
People will open emails of people that they can, or emails that they consider valuable. And
Right.
so instead of crafting emails that are slick and awesome copywriting, you can go away from that and just say what, and that's kind of what I was driving at, because you've grown something organically to the point where people want to participate. And the reason that they want to participate is because they see what you're doing is valuable. And people will always open. I know I do. I get, my wife makes fun of me because I, at any given time, have between 18 and 30,000 emails that are
Yeah.
unopened on my phone. And I save everything. And I'm always, and I have multiple email accounts, but what I'm willing to do is always open those emails with people that I know that are trying their very best to give me the information. And I also don't mind purchasing from those people either.
Right.
And I think one of the things that people have gotten really savvy with, look, we can read a text message or a thread on a social media channel now and hear the tonality of someone communicating with written word. So if I open an email and I smell commission breath, it takes 1 second for me to close it down. If I see someone trying to gamify, like they know me personally when I know that they don't, I shut it down. But it's just having a real conversation. And that's something now for 20 some years, you've started to become an expert at. And you also teach people how to do that too. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I love helping people figure this out. My email journey is interesting. When I look back, you said the slick emails for so long. I spent a lot of time and money designing these emails that look like a Sunday morning sales paper. I mean, they were, these fancy layouts and everything. And sure, they got clicks and people opened them. But when I converted over to text and talking directly to people in my voice and putting personal messages in them, changed the whole relationship. Email continues to grow. One of the most popular questions I get asked is how many emails should I send a week? And my answer is as many times as you can send value. And so there are some weeks where I send 6 emails, right? And maybe I get a complaint or two, but most of the time those emails are getting opened because every time I do, people know I'm emailing them for a reason. And, it's one of those things I love. At the top of all my emails, I try to write something personal, right? Whether it's what I've done this week or something that's coming up, just trying to talk to them, ask them questions, and make sure I reply to them when I get responses back. That is one of the most, I prioritize that every day. Like if I'm going to do emails, that is, I make sure that gets done every day. Other things may fall by the wayside, but I always make sure I get my emails done.
Yeah. And the interesting part, and this is what I want other entrepreneurs to hear right now, you had a quote unquote day job. So you started this whole process with wanting to create a community and wanting to build some value, not necessarily worrying about monetizing something. And
Right.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to remember, yes, you need to make money at what you do. But if you're coming in desperate, it's going to translate through what you're doing. And people are savvy now because of the amount of communication that they have. So this idea of bringing value is no different than sitting across from someone at a table and saying, how can I help you? How can I really help you? And
Right.
I just get the feeling of what you're talking about, that's probably how you're teaching people too. It's like, look how to give first, be a go-giver, and reciprocity will take care of itself.
Yeah. I'm working with some clients now, and they were hit by helpful content update, right? So their page views just decimated. And so what I'm trying to get them to do is look at their site, figure out what their popular pages are, what are people coming to you for, and let's create email automations. I love creating sequences and series of emails, right? So if you have people coming to you for me, one of my most popular sequences is what to expect at your first powwow. So if you get a lot of questions about a topic and you have content around it, build a whole email series about it where you can actually talk to them. And so in the first email of my what to expect at your first powwow, I ask a question. And so every morning when I check my inbox, I've got some responses to that. And I know people read the email, right? But if you can figure that kind of stuff out and what your audience, how to divide your audiences up into categories or segments, whatever, and then deliver them a series of emails that is answering their questions, answering their needs, that is so much better than a broadcast message and sending out something to your whole list. You will get so much value out of that. And that's how you give people what they're looking for.
You know, we hold classes here where we teach people about funnels, right? And I'm talking seasoned salespeople and that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year doing what they're doing. When I start teaching this concept of funnel, they get very, very confused. You're explaining how a funnel works beautifully. It's very simply getting someone's attention, building so much rapport with them through value that eventually they go, what else can you help me with? Because you're actually helping me. And people just sit back and think for a moment. How many people out there are genuinely trying to help you? And how many people are trying to get something from you? And what do you normally respond to? If someone is truly trying to help me, I'm willing to flip over backwards and high five someone, because it's not out there as much as it could be. And you're not only doing it, you're teaching other people how to do it. So you're playing a fellow with entrepreneurism. You're helping our community out. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah. That's, people ask me, like, what motivates me? How do I measure success? To me, when I get emails from people and they're either responding and answering a question I asked them, or they're just sending me an email thanking me, that's how I measure success. When I get responses from the community, that's what drives me, man. Those are so much fun.
What are some of the other things you teach your clients?
I mean, the first thing I talk to them about is making sure when you send out emails that, like I said, that you're communicating to them. So like I'm working with recipe bloggers and travel bloggers, and some of them, common thing that they'll tell me is, well, they can just go on my website and get that, or they can go anywhere and get this information. I'm like, yes, but they subscribe to your newsletter because they want your take on it. So you have to give them your part of this, right? Be you. Sure, everybody can go and find a travel guide to Mexico. There's probably 1,000 of them, right? But they didn't look for everybody's. They subscribed and they want your opinion. So you have to bring you in your emails. Don't try to be a brand or in emailing out Amazon type emails or Best Buy type emails. You have to be you. So that's the first thing, right? You stop trying to message people and shout at people in emails. Just have a conversation and bring yourself.
One of the biggest things that I learned, and I'd like to hear your take on it. Whenever you're talking to your audience, whether you're on stage, in an email, writing a social media post for attention, you're actually just talking to one person.
Yes.
And how do you help your clients understand what that means?
Yeah. A business mentor of mine, he told me that a long time ago. It's everything you do, and especially like he does a lot of live video. And he said, you have to be talking to one person. That's the first thing you have to remember. Whether it's an email, like you said, or social media, you're just talking to one person. And the other thing you have to remember is, people get so hung up on numbers and trying to compare themselves to other people with these big numbers. It doesn't matter. If you have 10 email subscribers, and this is, my friend Lou told me this a long time ago, if you have 10 or 15 or 20 email subscribers, and that's all you have, if those 20 people were sitting in your living room listening to you talk, you'd be pretty excited, right? And you never know who in those 20 people are going to be your true core fans and want to buy from you, want to engage with you, want to be your supporter, right? So we get too hung up on these metrics and having all these vanity things, and it's cool, right? I mean, I celebrated February, we hit 1 million followers on Facebook. Yeah, we celebrated that. That was cool, right? But it doesn't matter. It's how many people are actually engaging with your content and listening to you. So yeah, that's one of the first things we try to tell people.
What are some of the other things? So apparently you know what you're doing on social media as well. Tell me what you teach some of your people about social media, or what some value you could bring to this audience about what they should focus on in social media today.
Gosh, social media, it changes every day, right? But it's the same kind of things. You have to bring whatever it is that is your unique brand or twist on things. You bring that in social media. If people come to you because you have really great photography, right? And they want to see your travel photography, then share photos. Stop trying to share photos that are always linking back to your blog, right? Just share photos. And right now, if you haven't tried this, just photo posts are going gangbusters on Facebook. I am getting tons of engagement. It's crazy how the organic reach is coming back for some things. So, you know, I tell people with social media, it's be yourself, right? And deliver whatever. If people want your photography, then share the photography. But it's also, you know, you have to know what these social platforms, what their trend or fad of the moment is. You know, like for a while, Facebook loved live video, so you had to do live video. Now it's reels and whatever it is. You know, so figure out your way of sharing that content. But social media, you just have to keep changing.
What do you think the best way for people to find out what the new trend is and be early on that curve instead of late?
You know, for me, it's be present and be engaged in social media. You know, I see so many people that I talk to, they'll post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and then they just leave the platform. You got to be in there and looking at stuff, not just in your niche, but in all these niches, and see what other people are doing. Look at comments, look at, you know, what other posts are getting engagement. Again, not just in your area. Go look across the board. You know, I'm into way too many different things. So, you know, I'm looking at Disney bloggers and people on YouTube. I'm looking at bourbon stuff, and, you know, I see these trends, and I was like, you know, be able to catch on and see what's working, and then try it in your area too. And it may not always cross, and it may not work for your audience, but with social media, you just have to experiment and keep doing it. And unfortunately, you know, another thing I'm telling people, and not everybody wants to hear this right now, but I think you got to be willing to invest some money on Facebook with ads.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, even if you can afford $1 a day, it's going to help you tremendously. But yeah, you do the ads on Facebook. It is the cheapest place to advertise, and you'll get the biggest bang for your buck.
Yeah, and the caveat to that is you have to be consistent with it.
Yes.
So when you say $1 a day, that's like, yes, for 30 straight days, you're going to spend at least $1 a day. We kind of tell people $5,
Right.
Because you're not really serious in advertising if you're not willing to invest $5 a day. But you can't expect after 4 days that the algorithm understands how to bring you your ideal prospect. It's constantly, and I tell people this: do you think Facebook wants or doesn't want your money? Well, they want your money. So they're doing their very best to target what you're seeking for conversions or whatever metric you're going for, so that you'll continue to invest more and more with them.
Yep.
It's not a machine where they're trying to rape you of everything that you have and toss you to the side. But that level of consistency over time gives the AI the ability to start cross-referencing things to bring you more and more relevant people.
Right. It's crazy. You know, people get so frustrated. Like, how do I build my list? I'm not getting any subscribers. I'm like, go do a lead ad on Facebook. $1 a day, you can get them. I'm getting them anywhere from 8 cents to 10 cents an email subscriber. You do that for a year, that's 3,000 subscribers. There you go. There's your list, right? That's easy.
It's not hard at all.
If you don't have $300 or $5 a day, if you don't have that to invest in your business, then is it a business, right? Or is it just a hobby?
Right. What do you still find the EPC when it comes to emails? The number used to be about $1 a person.
You know, for me, it's different because we do sell like some merch and some ebooks and things like that, but we are not driving our subscribers to necessarily a purchase or a course or something like that. My whole business is getting people to the website. Then we make ads or make money on the ads.
Okay.
So for me, it's a lower cost. You know, as long as I'm getting a page view, that's what matters, right? So like running a Facebook ad, you know, doing like Facebook ad arbitrage, paying 2 to 4 cents a click, and then getting them back to the website where I'm getting a $30 or $40 RPM. That's easy, right? That's easy math. So the same thing with email. If I can get subscribers for, you know, anywhere from 10 or 20 cents a subscriber, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, so your metric is driving engagement because you know that engagement is going to lead to higher advertising spend.
Right. Right.
So when you started understanding the model of advertising, how did you actually go find people that were willing to invest money on your website to promote their products and services?
That's probably the thing. I'm a terrible salesperson. So we do sell some direct ads, and we've had some real good success with it. And it's one of those areas I just need to spend more time. But primarily our ads, I mean, we started out on Google AdSense. And God, I thought that was the best thing in the world until I learned about these ad networks. And we've gone through a variety of different ad networks. Right now we're on Mediavine, and absolutely love that company. They are very creator focused and really want to help you grow your business. I went from a CPM of, maybe $2 or $3 with Google AdSense to, $40, $50 or more RPM on Mediavine. It's crazy the way they have been able to change the game with advertising.
So describe that a little bit for people that aren't familiar with it.
The money breakdown.
No, the grapevine. And
yeah, what Mediavine does, and it makes it so much easier, is they, once you are in their platform, they sell the ads for you. They place the ads. Their technology automatically places the ads on your website. You can control it if you want to a certain extent, but they just take care of everything. So then I'm able to, if I want to go and sell some direct ads, I can. But they can be your complete sales company, and they just take care of everything. It's fantastic. You just go in the morning, check your stats, and see how much you got paid the day before. It's really good. And they have minimums. I can't remember what they have a new program called Journey. I think you have to have 25,000 page views a month to get into that, or sessions. And then their main program, I think, is 100,000 sessions a month.
What do you see coming in the future for you?
Right now, we are really focused on our live streaming, and we are growing that. This weekend, we'll have 4 different powwows streaming live on our social networks. And so we're really focused on growing that and improving that. We've been doing it since 2004, but we get better and better at it. And we're trying to get more groups out there and teams doing that, so that we're, I'm really focused on that. And for me, it's with all these changes with Google, I really want to continue to grow the email list and make sure that we are capitalizing on, getting our subscribers and making sure we can talk to them directly. I don't know what's going to happen with AI and Google. I kind of see a time where websites are going to have some bigger issues than we're having now. I'm hoping.
Like what?
Well, with where people come to us because they want to see what powwows are happening in Oklahoma this weekend. I think Google AI is probably going to serve that list up to people without clicking on my website. So we have to figure out how we still make money with Google taking the content. I think that's going to be a real challenge for lots of people, recipe bloggers too. If you can just Google what ingredients do I put in this dish, it's going to be trouble for all of us. That's the thing I see that we've got to overcome. And we as creators have to figure out how we differentiate ourselves from AI and still figure out ways to make people want to come to our website. And so for me, I'm being very aggressive in growing the email list. So if AI does take more and more of our traffic, that we can continue to deliver to the people who want to see our information, we can still send it to them directly.
I think the main thing that AI will not be able to do effectively is community.
Yes.
And so the very thing that you began with will be the one thread that I think will remain forever, because again, AI can give you facts and can give you information, but it can't give you flavor. And there's no doubt in my mind that people are going to need to constantly be reminded about community as we separate more and more and more. We started out with the nuclear family. That was the first separation. Now we're into individualization, where we're putting you in a room and you don't ever want to come out. But we have to constantly remind people what it's like. At the powwows, you said you did 4 at a time, like this weekend. Are people there with iPads and iPhones and just doing lives that way? How are they doing that?
Yeah, I mean, there are people that are just streaming with their phones on TikTok. Now our teams, we have full we're doing
full production.
Yeah. And my main team, we have a streaming server that we take with us, and we'll do anywhere from 3 to 5 cameras that are PTZ cameras. So with, control board and it's a little higher level production than just phones. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds really interesting, actually.
It's really cool.
Somebody's never been to one. That's the perfect way to begin to see if it's for you or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and since you said that, I want to make sure everybody, if you've been hearing me talk about powwows are open to the public. They want you there. It can be intimidating, yes, because it is a different culture, but it is a complete immersion into the powwow life. Please find one near you. Go check it out. They're an amazing thing to go and watch and be a part of. So yeah, they are open to the public, and they happen in every single state.
And if people right now, they're listening to this, want to go check this out, all they have to do is go to powwow.com.
Powwows.com with an S.
Powwows.com. Yeah. Check it out. And there's plenty of live or even recorded footage that you're going to have on there. They can sign up for your list to get some valuable information about it. But do they have these things up in the Northeast? I'm near Boston.
Every single state has them. Before COVID, we were listing about 1,200 powwows on our calendar a year. Not all of them have come back completely. So I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of like 800 to 900 a year that we're listing, and we miss lots of them. We don't get them all. We try to, but we don't get them all. So yeah, they're happening everywhere. If people want to find one, we have a calendar, powwows.com. If you want to learn and kind of figure out again that what to expect at your first powwow, powwows.com/powwow101 will get you on that and help you figure out what you need to do, bring, act, and how what you need to do at a powwow.
Well, everybody, this is Paul Gowder, and he owns powwows.com. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir. And
thank you.
I think in my break today, I'm going to go check out powwows.com. I'm assuming this is family friendly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking forward to checking out some of that footage because it's certainly a part of our culture here in the U.S. that I'm not as familiar with. And it just sounds like a fun thing to immerse yourself in. So thanks for taking the time with us today.
Yeah. It's completely family friendly. Some of the powwows now, just give people, if they're going to go watch it, some of the powwows that we show, especially are competition powwows. So dancers are competing. But just go on our YouTube channel and look for things like Grand Entry. That's the beginning of these powwows when everybody dances together. You're going to love that. And, you can go look at Jingle or Fancy Dance. Those are the ones that are really fast and exciting. But yeah, we've got like 15,000 videos on YouTube you can go watch for hours.
Dude, that sounds amazing. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for explaining it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Everybody, we'll see you next time. Take care.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey, friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.